Evening, everybody. Calling us back into order, the meeting of the school committee of Thursday, December 4th, 2025. We're coming back from executive session. Join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not hard, gently.
Can you hit the TV one power?
Remember the TV break?
Do it?
Nope.
Give it a second.
Should play first? No. Is it just me?
Try TV.
Yep, I did it.
There you go.
You did it. I heard it. Alrighty. Consent agenda, minutes. Mr. Brown.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the minutes in the packet should be, I've reviewed them and I've made, minor grammatical corrections and added a few things that weren't captured, and Michelle has accepted them, and so I believe it is ready to go. So I guess I should move that I guess I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2025, as shown in the packet.
Thank you.
I will second.
Thank you, Mrs. Sams. Give everyone 30 seconds. Did we put a joke in there?
I looked at my watch, yes, if I was timing you with the 30 seconds. It was not, to be clear.
It's Mrs. Cormier. I often, when I say I'm going to give you 30 seconds or a minute,
Your timing.
I mean 30 seconds and a minute. All right, Mr. Moskovich.
Yes.
Mrs. Sams.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you. Hello, Louine and Allie. How are you tonight?
How are you?
We're doing well. Did you have a nice couple days off?
They were fabulous.
Awesome. How are you adjusting to this bitter cold weather?
It's like the Arctic out there.
Yes.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Horrible.
Well, for a swimmer, yeah.
It's good in the mornings for me. I feel like you just kind of like.
It wakes you up. That's
Yeah.
good. So, what do you have for us tonight?
All right, perfect. We'll start with the John and Abigail Scholarship Breakfast. It was held December 3rd. Many parents attended. So did Superintendent Lathrop. So thank you for that. 84 seniors received the scholarship, and Principal Holman did a very nice speech over there, and she shook everyone's hands, and it was really, really sweet. She mentioned how it's sort of like the first event where we start getting into the season of appreciating our seniors and shouting them out. So I'm very excited to be appreciated.
We're excited to appreciate you as well.
Thank you. Also, Spanish Club will be selling pulseras from the 8th to the 22nd. So that's basically, from what I understand, a fundraiser where they take bracelets made in Hispanic-speaking countries. I'm not sure which one, but they take them from the company, and then they sell them, and they help give the profits back to the makers. So it's really, really sweet. Future Medical Professionals Club made cards for hospitalized kids. AI Club discussed the Genesis mission and just had like a general discussion about policies regarding AI and how it will work and play out with the economy. And from what I heard, I talked to the president of AI Club. It was very fruitful, and he really enjoyed it. And then also DECA districts are next week, with many students going either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on their event.
Thank you, Louine. We had our very successful second annual turkey toss on November 26th.
Did anyone get hurt?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Did they?
No injuries.
So the winners of each activity: turkey bowling was Olivia Fritzinger and Avon Seed. Pie eating was Naomi Severisi.
Nice.
The turkey toss was Finn Gaines and Maverick Isidoro. The potato sack relay race was Trip Down, Kieran Rigler, Zaid Ellsbury, and Connor Roach. This was sponsored by the guidance department, and student ambassadors volunteered to run it. Alumni were invited, and Provecto's gift cards were given to the winners alongside medals. And also, the turkey toss champions received trophies.
How does one win the pie eating contest?
They eat the most amount of pie,
Regardless of the quality of the pie.
regardless.
Okay.
It's not pretty to watch. I wouldn't recommend it.
I have visions of Stand By Me, that movie, in my head.
Seniors and juniors went out to watch and participate. Mid-December will be a big time for early action and early decision college decisions. Check out the NAS Future Plans 2026 page to see where people are committing. And lots of alumni visits happened the week of Thanksgiving. Cross-country alumni ran with their current seniors. The NAS Winter Concert is December 17th at 7 p.m. And winter sports have officially begun on Monday. Earlier tryouts were finished up, and so were captains' meetings.
Could I just ask, when I was at the school committee and superintendent's conference a couple weeks ago, I went to a session about how districts could think about helping students do better after they leave. And one of the things they emphasized was having alums come back. So I'm wondering, how does that work? I mean, I know how it works. What's your impression about how helpful it is to you guys to hear them?
It was really fun to see my friends again. It kind of normalizes the whole idea of like going to college and like still coming back, and it kind of helps like put you at ease. I like it.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes when you think about leaving high school, it seems very cut and dry, like, oh, you're in the real world now, and then it is what it is. But seeing them come back, and it sort of reminds me of how it was last year, and then how it's not just like jumping into something, it also is in part a transition. And I also really appreciated how, yes, there were some of my friends that I saw from years past, but also there were people that I never really talked to. So it was interesting seeing new people, making a few connections. And yeah, that was it.
So this probably wouldn't come up then, but do they ever talk about what they found most helpful at our high school and what they wish they had that they didn't have? They probably wouldn't have had that with you, but I can see why that could be really helpful to get those kinds of thoughts.
Yeah, that would be a great idea to start asking them.
I
from
can
now on.
ask 100%. And I mean, I'll let you know. I don't really know.
Thank you. Other questions, queries for our amazing kiddos here?
And then I did think about your turkey toss when I carried my turkey out of Butcher Boy. Before that, I was like, it was like a 14-pounder, and I'm like, God bless them all. I'm like carrying that turkey out. I'm like, I hope they have fun. I'm not doing it.
Very poorly.
Yeah.
You didn't think of tossing it?
No, I'm like, I don't know how. Like, I'm carrying this out. Like, yeah, toss this bad boy.
What was the concert you mentioned? The chorus band? I missed it. December 17th, you said?
Is the winter concert.
Is it both?
December 17th is a winter concert.
Yeah, so it's
Chorus
both.
band.
Chorus band, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I'll just keep saying it over and over.
When's Greece?
MLK weekend.
Okay,
So January.
I'm good. Thank you. All right. We are going to be hearing later from Ms. Holman and Ms. Pinkston about the high school competency determination. And I would love for you, if you can, stay for another 25, 30 minutes to hear what you all think about that too and your ideas, and ask some questions along with that, because I think that you have an interesting perspective on what it means to graduate and what you need before you go off into the real world, or almost into the real world, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if you think it's appropriate, we have something coming up at the high school that I would love to make sure that,
Sure.
I know it's later in the agenda, but I would just like to mention it. We have the community chat coming up to see if
Yes.
they want to participate.
Yes, tell them that now
Okay.
so they can
Yeah, so you know.
bring their peoples.
Exactly. So we have the school committee is doing a community chat at the high school on, thanks to Principal Coleman. We're on December 18th from 11:45 to 1:15. So if that, obviously, Principal Coleman is going to help us advertise that within the school, but if that's something that you would love to have you there, but as well, just to communicate to your friends and peers, we'll be there for, it's going to be Mr. Brown and myself, and for questions, anything, be open hours during lunchtime, if people want to come and talk.
You'll be in guidance, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Superintendent Lathrop says yes.
I think actually our Director of Guidance, Meg Pinkston, sets that up for us. We're on it.
Awesome. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Moving on, public comment? Nope. Awesome. Upcoming events, Superintendent.
Okay, we already heard that we have the winter concert coming up on December 17th. Just a couple of things from the schools. You all get your school emails, so I'm not going to highlight everything. But the Atkinson School is having a Spirit Week coming up, the week of December 19th. So it's something for them. Sargent School has their big PTO stroll, holiday stroll coming up on December 10th. North Andover Middle School has their musical. It's Freaky Friday this year. It actually starts tonight, is the opening day. It'll also be running on Friday, tomorrow night, and Saturday. Tomorrow is 7 to 9, and I think Saturday is 1 to 3. The tickets are $12 for adults, $5 for students. The kids are really prepared and excited to share that musical. The ABECC is seeing the Polar Express movie at the North Andover Historical Society. Excited for that. The Franklin School has a winter whirl coming up as well on December 10th. And the Thompson School wanted to note that they had a very recent, very successful Makers Mart in conjunction with the Atkinson PTO. So Thompson PTO and Atkinson PTO joined together. They did their Makers Mart at the North Andover Historical Society, and I believe those are the two schools that are planning the upcoming, or the Thompson's planning one of the upcoming Sweetheart Dances, so they're excited about that, and I think Atkinson is as well. And I think that's all I have.
Fantastic. We're going to skip over community chat for NHS students because we just did that. So you don't have to wait a full 20 minutes. Oh, wait, you might actually. We have one more before that. Ms. Stedman.
My counterpart's on her way. I don't know.
We'll reverse around.
Okay.
Ms. Holman and Ms. Pinkston, are you ready?
Ready.
Come on up.
A little ahead of
So
schedule.
we are excited to welcome Ms. Holman and Ms. Pinkston here for our high school competency determination presentation. Quick background being that last year they eliminated the MCAS as a graduation requirement in the state of Massachusetts by a public vote. And DESE has, or they now require us to, all districts to submit a plan for how we're going to determine how kids are competent and ready to graduate in those subjects. We have to pass something before the end of this current calendar year. So the plan is to listen to the presentation today, ask all the questions that we possibly can, and to vote on it, hopefully, and approve it next time. You're going to tell us anything else we need to know?
Click on that presentation, yes. And I should have mentioned that Assistant Superintendent Kristen Ando is not here this evening. Kristen is with Martha Jankaitis, who's one of our assistant principals. They're attending the CASE conference in Cape Cod. The CASE conference is tailored towards our Title I support in the district.
Okay. You'll tell us anything else we need to know.
So turn it over.
What we'll do is we'll listen to the whole thing, and then we'll write down questions as we go, and then we'll go back to answer questions, mostly in the order of the presentation itself.
That sounds great. And you got copies?
We did?
Okay.
Did we?
All right, good.
Yes,
We did.
it's in your packet.
Good. All right. So slides, we ground everything in the district framework and framing for our work this year. So we can go to the next slide. And when we were looking and considering and writing and drafting, talking about competency determination, we really considered the district goals, and we're cognizant of those, of course. And next slide. So tonight, we want to talk about the DESE requirement itself, and we want to be explicit about separating two things: the competency determination, which, like Mr. Hicks just said, replaces the MCAS. And so that is the bare minimum state expectation for competency in terms of math, science, in English, ELA, English language arts right now, and eventually history. So what is that base level requirement? The difference with North Andover High School graduation requirements is significant. So North Andover High School graduation requirements are requirements that the school committee approves, and they are robust and they go beyond the competency determination, the sort of bare minimum. Both very important, though, of course. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about policy considerations, things that we considered when we were drafting the policy. And the people involved, first of all, a shout out to and kudos to the wonderful woman on my right, Megan Pinkston, who leads the guidance department very, very ably. And she was our, I'm going to use a sports metaphor, a quarterback for this effort, but we're both into basketball, so I think you were the point guard, actually, which is not what you played.
First and last time ever.
Yeah, she was not the point guard. You were under the hoop, right? Yeah. All right, good. I would have been the point guard. I'm too short.
So anyway, but Meg did an amazing job with it, and we brought together our whole leadership team, and that is Meg, myself, the assistant principals, the athletic director, special ed director, and all of the curriculum coordinators, so the department heads. And we had multiple meetings going over this to craft kind of the front of the house stuff, the policy draft that we gave you, but also then considering kind of the back of the house. How is all this going to work? What are the different pathways for when this is in operations? So I will turn it over to Ms. Meg.
All right, so first looking at the DESE requirements. So DESE is requiring that a competency determination has two components. The first being satisfactorily completing coursework, so a passing grade in the courses that are determined as necessary. The second is demonstrating mastery of skills. So, and DESE has teased this out that they are not the same thing, that simply passing a course does not demonstrate mastery in a course. So they have to be two separate things. And so those are the two things we have to do to then, that creates a competency determination. The areas that we have to demonstrate competency in are the same as what are tested in the MCAS. So that's 2 years of high school English, 1 year of geometry, and 1 year of Algebra 1. The distinction with that is that it can include content from 8th grade for math. So that's something that it doesn't have to be just high school. It can be in 8th grade as well. 1 year of science, either biology, chemistry, physics, or technology engineering, so the same as what the MCAS would test. And then starting for 2027, the class of 2027, there's going to be a requirement for 1 year of U.S. history. So Ms. Holman kind of already touched on this, but the difference between competency determination and graduation requirements, I think, is an important distinction, especially where now MCAS is no longer at play. I think in education, we've used the term competency determination for a long time, but I don't think that it was a common term that was used. Everyone you earned your high school diploma, but passing the MCAS was always a part of that. So now with MCAS being removed, there are two components to earn a high school diploma. First, you have to pass your competency determination, and you have to meet the local graduation requirements in order for North Andover Public Schools to confer a diploma. So those are sort of the two pieces. Your competency determination is sort of your minimum requirements, equivalent to what the MCAS tested, and then your graduation requirements are beyond that. If you look in the competency determination policy draft, you're going to see our graduation requirements on that last page, which go beyond what the CD requires. For example, in English, it's 2 years of high school English, but our graduation requirement is 4 successful years of completion in English. So you'll see that difference. You can go next one, Lynn. Thank you. So for us, when we were looking at this policy, it was really important for us to make sure that we were considering all our learners and all the different pathways that our students learn and meet their graduation requirements. So being really thoughtful and mindful of that, especially for students with special needs, students who are at out-of-district placements, our English language learners, and then for any students who are late enrolling, meaning they're enrolling at North Andover High School beyond the start of their freshman year, so students who are transferring in for a myriad of different reasons. In order to do this, we had to make sure that we were collaborating both at the school level with our administration team, our leadership team, and then also at the district level, so conferring with our out-of-district placement folks, our English language learning department, special education, all those different stakeholders, just to make sure that we weren't missing anything, or we kind of ran a lot of scenarios, like tell me about how this kid would meet their CD, how would this kid meet their CD, so make sure our policy language was going to be inclusive enough so that the students who were meeting their requirements and how our policies are written now would still be able to meet their CD in the future.
And lastly, we mirrored our policy language around the language that was recommended from the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. They use vetted language, and they shared that with a lot of public schools. They also shared it with DESE. DESE provided some feedback to them. So a lot of our language is aligned directly with what MASC has recommended. And that's sort of how we got to our policy. So I think now might be a good time for us to, if you guys need time to look at it, or if we've already looked at it, if you want me to walk you through the policy, we can do that. Okay. So the first part of the policy is just what the requirements are. So the first piece, yeah.
Suggested school, yes.
Yep. Perfect. So at the top, it's just going to be a little bit of the background information that I've kind of already explained. Then it goes into how students are going to demonstrate mastery. So you'll see the two different kind of ways that students can demonstrate mastery. One is through a final assessment, or an equivalent measure as determined by the high school principal. Down at the bottom of that first page, you're going to see the area, the content area, the coursework requirements, so the 2 years of English, the 1 year of algebra, 1 year of geometry for math, the 1 year of high school science, and then for 2027, the 1 year of U.S. history. In the next section, you're going to see the courses at the high school that are currently aligned that would meet these requirements. So for a student who enters North Andover High School as a 9th grader, goes through our 4 years, they will be enrolled in these courses, and even in 8th grade, actually, with the math piece. Those are the courses that we can verify are aligned in our program of studies. And these are all the core classes that students are automatically scheduled for as part of their regular program of study. And then you'll see how they're going to be, how they're going to show evidence of mastery. And then, next page of that are all our additional considerations. So students with disabilities, ensuring that we are being mindful of individualized student needs, coordinating with out-of-district placements where our students are being educated outside of our four walls, so that their courses are also vetted, that they're meeting they're able to engage in the same CD standards as our students in the high school. Our English language learners, we are able to offer supported classes in English where they are being taught by a teacher who is certified in English language learning and also English language arts. So they're getting their courses, our courses are aligned to be with the English standards, so that will all be, that all aligns. And then late enrolling students, when we have a student come into our high school looking at what coursework and grades they're bringing with them, finding ways to award a CD for successful completion of coursework from other schools, and then evaluating what they would need to do to meet our CD standards. For any student that had earned a certificate of attainment from North Andover High School from the inception of MCAS through now, we are able to go back and look at if MCAS was not a factor, would they have or could they have attained a high school diploma? And if that's the case, they are able to appeal, we are able to reconsider, and they would be able to work towards meeting their CD requirements with any new policy, and then we would be able to award a high school diploma at that point too. The only interesting caveat is that they would then become a diploma recipient of whenever that was awarded, not from their original graduation class, because they met the CD requirement now and not then.
They get a 2026 diploma.
Yes, yeah, for example. So it's just an interesting like detail, but yeah. So we would be able to go back and look at that for students as well.
Nice.
If they come to us and ask us, right?
Yes.
And they don't sit for our exam, our new CD exam?
They would have to meet our current.
They would have
Yeah.
to meet, so they would.
Yes, they would have to
Yeah.
sit for our exams
Okay.
and all of that.
Mhm.
And then the bottom is our graduation requirements, which, you know, you all have seen, obviously, that they're currently listed in our program of studies.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on the original part of the slideshow?
Well, I have one. I thought at the beginning you said that there's a requirement of the courses you take and also some measure of whether you really understand this stuff. I'm sorry for my technical language. But it looks to me like it's basically you pass the course, that's good enough. Do I have that right, or am I misunderstanding it?
I think, so yes and no. Half of it is passing the course. So if you look on the first page of the policy, it's passing the course is the first part, and then showing mastery is done through either a final assessment or an equivalent measure. So that's where we're looking at an exam.
Oh, it's an
So
exam.
Yeah, so it's passing the course and passing a competency determination exam.
Does it ever wind up being an interview?
At this point, we're working on using an assessment for the courses.
So I suppose this is a really complicated question, but how do we make sure when they're taking exams that they're not using artificial intelligence? Or am I asking at the wrong time?
No, I think you can ask that. That is some of the back of the house question in terms of how we're going to be delivering the exam and implementing it, administering it, obviously.
Yes, exactly.
Pen and paper or on the computer. So it would be the same sort of safeguards that teachers use right now in terms of if they give an exam on the Chromebook. And many of them give the exam paper and pencil still. Some on Chromebooks too.
I mean, I read somewhere that one strategy that some schools use is that a random sample of students are questioned. And if it's obvious that they were using AI, there's a very big penalty. And so, yes, you might not be in that sample, but I understand it's a different discussion, but it's not totally unrelated.
Soon, we'll be coming forward with our AI recommended guidance / policy for the school committee to look at. So that certainly will help us in that area as well.
Any other questions about the initial first couple slides? All right, questions about the policy itself?
Yes.
Trying to go in as much in order as possible.
Oh.
You may start.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, actually, it's right at the beginning. So I'm just curious, I'm trying to understand how we treat students with disabilities that might not be able, for various reasons, to reach the same level, say, as a student without disabilities, but still should graduate. So when I read this, it's unclear to me that how we do that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah, I
if
do.
it's not reasonable to expect everybody to master Algebra 1, that might not be possible. So how do we deal with that?
So we do it through two ways. First is we deliver specially designed instruction for students with disabilities. So we give them the access point where they can enter into the curriculum appropriately. So that might be through a co-taught model where there's a content expert and a special educator in the classroom delivering the instruction. It could be through small group. We offer small group classes at the high school for certain students who that's deemed, the least restrictive environment for them. And that's with a special educator who's also certified in the content area, delivering that content. In the past, those students would all still have to have passed the MCAS.
Right.
And then what we do is we're able to then provide all the accommodations that they would have access to on every other exam, and we would provide it for that final assessment. So students who are, whether you're in an honors class or a English language learner class or any other type of setting, you're still getting the same, you're still meeting and learning the same standards in the frameworks as you would regardless of what your learning needs are.
Okay, so the requirement's not adjusted at all. They have to reach a certain level, and
Yep,
that's that.
a
And
minimum.
they can get help to get there, right?
Absolutely.
Right,
Yes.
lots of help to get there.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, but at least that's the vehicle we try to use to help them. Okay.
And the high majority of our students on IEPs pass the MCAS. Some of them don't pass the first time we do the retest, and so we've been successful with that. So we anticipate that the largest majority of kids are going to pass all the competency determinations at the end of their course. There's going to be a smaller group who don't, so they get to retest with us. There's going to be an even smaller group who don't, and we are going to make educational professional decisions about, well, we actually need to do a portfolio review internally of their work.
Okay.
And then there's going to be an even smaller group who don't pass, and this is going to be rare, a group that doesn't pass or a student who doesn't pass the portfolio review, like a review of their work in English 10. And then we're going to go to, the next layer, which might be looking at consideration of their MCAS score. And that's a tiny, teeny, teeny, tiny group of students, according to the state. The state has made very clear to us that looking at an MCAS score would be the ultimate last resort after they've gone through all of those other steps. And we're quite confident our students are going to not get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just asked, when the MCAS was a graduation requirement, people casually said you had to pass the MCAS, but what you actually had to do was not be in the bottom group. You didn't have to be proficient. The cutoff was you had to make the partial, or to be technical, I guess the scaled score was 470 instead of 500. So when you say pass, do you mean pass as in competent or pass as in not?
Yes.
Not competent being the low group.
Right. So that's the cut score. Like what is the cut score?
Yes.
For all of those exams at the end of the year. And that is now an internal dialogue with us.
Right.
And we need to, that's some of the back of the house. We're figuring out what that is. And one of the good things about what we're doing this year with faculty, the decision to move toward bringing back midterm exams, assessments, and final assessments, is that in January we're going to be getting a lot of data from the students on how they did with the common assessments that we're given our first try to. So I think we're going to get some information that then informs us at the end of this year on what, to use the simple term, cut scores are. So, yeah.
I just have one question. When we're talking about the final assessment, how is it determined that that's what it's going to be? For example, like in any given course, does the teacher come up with that? Is that something that's done by the school itself to know what level of proficiency they need to be on that final assessment for that course?
Yeah. So your question, Alyssa, is about how the assessment is constructed, or?
Yeah. How is it determined that that's going to be the right? I guess what I'm looking at is, okay, you take a course and the final assessment is substantially easier than maybe it should be. I mean, how do we avoid that? That's my question.
Yeah. I am glad you asked, because I'm going to refer back to the last time I was here, which was talking about the school improvement plan. And so one of the pieces of our instructional school improvement goal was that for each course and based on state frameworks and grade level standards, teachers and teacher teams, so teacher teams who teach the same course, common course, We'll clarify the core competencies, increase common units, and build common midterm and final assessments to assess those competencies. So they are doing that together. And we've been spending all of our PD time, almost all of it, the big, wonderful 3-hour half days, where teachers are in their department teams building the midterm, building the final assessment. And you don't just put that together. You have to go back and say, okay, what are the standards, and are we all on standard when we are teaching? What is appropriately rigorous for ELA 9, ELA 10, algebra, courses that Louine takes, 12th grade, all right, the older students. So that's been a whole process.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Just a general question. So as you were going through this and looking into, every school district is going through the same thing. And did you talk to or connect with other school districts? Or how does this compare, or different than those other districts? And then were there any other serious contenders that you had before you, other options that you were kind of going back and forth? I imagine there was many things you looked at, but any other likely contenders that
Yeah, so I talked to everyone and anyone I could get my hands on.
It's true. It is true.
Everyone's like, please stop talking to me about this. And honestly, we're all sort of in a similar boat, to be perfectly honest. I think a lot of folks are going with this template, generally speaking. Where we saw a little bit of variation was sort of how students would demonstrate mastery. Some schools already have different things that they have in place for students either in certain courses or as part of their general curriculum. So things were already in place in some places where we knew we were going to be going back to final exams and kind of going back in that direction. That made sense for us. So that really aligned for us. I think that we were, and one of the great things for us is that our curriculum and what we already are having our students enroll in aligns and is rigorous and is what the state's already looking for. So we didn't have to make any major changes to what our students are taking in 9th grade or taking in 10th grade because they're already doing it. So I think that was sort of a nice thing when we sort of dug into this. Was like, oh, good. Like it's a nice like litmus test of that we're already on the right track. But what we found is many places are sort of doing the same thing that we're doing, and a lot of places and a lot of folks I've spoken to are trying to cross-check with each other because we want to make sure that we are giving our students the best education we can, and if someone has a better idea or a way that we can kind of implement and do it, we want to take that too, and same with other places. So that was kind of all the things that we thought about.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, I have a question. When you look through the requirements of the courses, would it be fair to say that the student really has only a limited number of electives because the basics make up a substantial percentage of the student's time? This isn't a trick question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the answer is probably yes, and I'm fine with that. I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything.
Yeah,
I'm just
yes.
curious.
I do think that as the student progresses in high school, they have more choice, which I think is appropriate as we kind of get through it. For example, most freshmen, our students take a 7-period schedule, so there's 5 core academic courses, so there's only 2 spots for electives each semester. But by the time they're seniors, if they've done what they're supposed to be doing throughout the course of 4 years, their only 4-year requirements are English and math, which leave a lot of space in their schedule. That's not to say that they don't take a science or a world language or what. Like, I would say 75 to 80% of our students are doing those things or a combination of those things. But that choice and those options become much more varied as a student moves through our curriculum over the course of 4 years.
But I mean, they are going to learn a lot of math.
Yes.
And a fair bit of literature and history.
Yes.
And at least 1 or 2 science courses.
3 actually.
Oh,
So
3,
yeah,
okay.
so we have a 4-year English requirement, 4-year math, 3-year history, 3-year science, 2-year world language, and then students have to take at least 2 art classes, 4 wellness classes, and a computer proficiency class.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I have a question. I feel like lots of students are going to be curious about how exactly these final assessments are incorporated into the students' grades, and whether teachers set their own policies when it comes to scaling their final assessments or putting curves on them.
Great question.
Great question. We have it currently as 10%. Final exams is 10% of the final. Final assessments are 10% of the quarter grade, right?
Of the semester grade.
Of the semester,
Yeah.
semester grade,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
And there's a second part to your question.
Whether teachers can choose or create their own scales, just depending on their class and the performance of
That
the
is a
exam.
great question. That's another one of those kind of in the back of the house discussions that coordinators are having with administrators right now. I personally, and staff know this, I'm for consistency, and we need consistency for something that is high stakes like this in terms of how we would do that, so. Yeah.
Allie, did you have any questions? You don't have to. The answer can be no. It's okay.
So the current finals that we're taking, so I know like every class has a final from like gym to like A-push, like we all have finals. So for like the art classes, would it be like more of a portfolio, and for the other ones it would still be like test, like quiz kind of idea?
It could be, so art classes you're asking about are the ultimate performance-based classes, right? So part of their final assessment will be performance-based. Part of it will be a written reflection is what they are moving toward. So there's a requirement that every midterm and every final have a written part to it. So if you're in English, or in history, for example, that might be a heavier part. You will have writing also in art, though, and it might be the form of a written reflection where you're synthesizing everything that you've learned in that particular art course.
So gym, because I know gym has finals too.
Oh,
They're
yes.
going to have a written part too.
Yes, they will.
So fun.
Yes, they will. And that might be questions about skills, too. It might be reflection on what you learned and how you built your skills. It might be some questions about the skills for the particular athletics course that you were taking. Yoga course,
Okay.
whatever it is, yeah.
I have another question. So there are lots of different levels to different classes. So I was also curious if the way finals are potentially scaled or administered would differ across different class levels. And then also, I know MCAS was just sort of a general baseline that was given to all students. So does the minimum proficiency requirement scale depending on what sort of class you're taking, right? Because I know, for example, like in Calc BC, you could get a 70% on the AP exam and you get a 5, right? So basically you get the highest score possible. So how is this going to be like taken into account in an approach when it comes to the final exams?
Maureen, you are
You're making
quick,
my
my
job
friend.
real easy.
You are quick.
Good question.
So our thought is, and what our plan is there is going to be a component of the exam that is going to be the competency determination component. And so students will get that entire, like that will be that component. And then if a student is in an honors class or an AP level of the same content area, there will be additional information that's going to be required of them, right? Because to give the same final exam to a CP course as an AP course would not be measuring the same things in terms of a final exam, but the competency determination component will be the same. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so there's a consistent competency determination component, but there are add-ons depending on the.
Yes, on a level.
Okay.
Yep.
Get
Because-
ready, Louine.
Because remember, it will be for the courses that are needed for competency determination. So it won't be for a pre-calculus course. It won't be for,
Physics.
well, physics is one of them,
My
but
bad.
with physics, so that's only for seniors. So like it'll be a much less common one, right? But so it's be much more common for Algebra 1,
Yeah.
but there's no AP for Algebra 1. So like it eliminates that level. So that's sort of, the good news, bad news, I guess. But so it's just for those CD courses that piece will apply to.
Okay.
Question.
Everyone's doing finals. All the courses.
Mhm.
So all have some type of written thing.
Mhm.
Sorry, Allie. Some of them, or these,
Mhm.
will have an addition. Will have a common portion for the competency determination
Yes.
across all levels in that in that
Yes.
particular course,
Mhm.
and potentially additional things depending on what else they learned in that class.
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
I liked your statement, Ms. Holman, about consistency, because in these high-stakes things, I like consistency as well. For better or for worse, that was a benefit of the MCAS exam, is that it was the same measure for everyone, and we can talk about all the different holes and problems with that testing system that did and do exist still, but that was, I think, a good thing. It's the outside view of what you were able to learn, right? It removes all the stuff about me as an instructor, knowing what I know about my kids, and someone else saying, yes, your kids actually do know these things. So one of my worries when we go to anything that we build by ourselves, I'm always cautious of, is like, how do we guarantee that it is going to be a accurate reflection, a fair reflection, a consistent reflection of what kids learned? How do we ensure that all the ninth grade, just as an example, all the ninth grade ELA courses, we know the curriculum, is the curriculum all the same across the board? Are all the assessments being graded fairly and accurately and similarly? Are they being calibrated against each other? Are we building the system to make sure that finals are calibrated against each other, so that once I take my ELA 9 and you take your ELA 9, the two different teachers reading those things are grading them fairly? Like, are those systems being built as well? And does this mean we really need to be moving in the direction of more HQIM stuff for our competency determination classes to ensure that kids are getting those basic necessities?
Yeah.
That was a very long-winded and hard
No, I think
question.
It was great.
Sorry.
It was great. No, I think you and I are together on this. So great questions, and the school improvement plan and the instructional goals
Yes.
that I presented a couple months ago were very much forecasting where we were going to be with competency determination, right? So a number of things. I think I keep saying to staff who have been working so hard on creating midterms and finals, and
those are very hard things to do.
it is a very big lift. So just coming together, agreeing, identifying standards, and creating, drafting and redrafting a proposed midterm and final, like that's a lot of work. And then you've got the other emotional layer or an analytical and emotional layer for teachers of realizing, are we a little out of alignment? Okay, let's scramble to get into alignment. Are we missing that standard? Okay, honestly, we might be. We need to come back around to that and adjust our teaching. So there's lots of adjustments to instruction that are going on this year, and they will continue next year and for following years. Like, it takes a while to get everything together. So having said all of that, I am saying to staff, for midterms in particular, because there's a lot of fretting. Teachers are perfectionists. I said, look, we're going to get this 70% right at the midterms, all right? And we're going to discover adult errors. We're not going to have a child suffer from an adult error on an assessment. We are going to use our professional judgment and make good if we find that we made some errors, all right? It's okay. And then by finals, we're going to be 80% right, 85% right. Next year, we're going to be up to the 90s and getting our assessments correct and our teaching in alignment. So I think that's some of the work that we're doing. You asked about sort of practice and preparation for how we're going to grade those exams. We need to do some of that in the spring. Once we have the exams, what does it mean for grading? What does the rubric look like? How are we going to consider assessing on the rubric, basically? I think another thing that is going to help us get there regarding grading of the final assessment is school improvement plan. One of the things that departments are doing is creating or using common curricular units. Every course team has been asked to and committed to creating and teaching 2 common units at least. Some of them will do more, and that includes a common assessment. So then there's looking at student work. And so we're getting into some teacher thinking habits and practices regarding calibration, teaching in common, calibration of grading a common assessment. So those things are pushing toward, June when we're giving the CD assessments in particular.
Great.
So I was wondering, I think you answered the question, but there are more teachers than one teaching some subjects. So
Right.
do they give the same final exam?
They will.
Is that more work or less?
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
But in a way, it's
It's a lot
less.
of work right now.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it means that
Yeah.
you as a teacher don't have to prepare as many different tests.
It's true, yes. I think that this year, the work of creating them and coming together and agreeing and checking
yes,
against standard,
right.
that creation work is a lot, right? And probably every year there'll be some tweaks to it and make it better and better. But yes, once you get those common assessments, you're not creating it individually every year. So yes.
It sounds like those are really valuable discussions.
They're
I mean, they're
yeah.
related to, are we teaching what we want to teach, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. And the faculty are doing amazing with it. Curriculum coordinators are doing wonderfully with it. And we've had some really hard, honest, and difficult discussions. I think we had one today, actually, in leadership team, where I think we all, including principal and guidance director, are realizing what this all means for us in terms of changes to instruction, in particular, I will say, for our students in college prep classes. And so that is bringing up a lot of really appropriate concern and energy around leaning in and making sure we are doing right by all of our courses and all of our levels. So.
My other concern, and this is not to say that it has happened at North Andover or will happen, but we know from the opportunity myth and other research that often across the board there has been a misalignment between what teachers create and in terms of what they ends up assessing and that not exactly aligning to grade level appropriate rigorous work. So
Yeah.
can you just remind us what steps you might be putting in place to make sure that that doesn't happen with our capable professionals that we have at the high school too? That,
Yeah.
like, how are we guaranteeing that the things that they do, that they're coming together on, which is great, and that they're aligning on, are the right level of appropriateness for our kids?
Yes. Yeah, no, great question. And I just realized, too, I didn't really come to your HQIM question. I'll come
That's
back to
okay.
that, too. All right. Well, 2 days ago, we had a big walkthrough, a learning walk. Our deeper learning state coaches came. We've been working with them for 2 years, last year when I was interim principal, and then this year. They are wonderful. They are terrific. They brought three of them from the state. Then Ms. Ando and her staff, Joe Clark, Jackie Taylor, Kara Larkham, all of our leadership team, Meg, myself, it was about 20 people. We did a learning walk. And what we were looking at are our 4 instructional focus areas for the year. So of all the basics of teaching, what are the core things that we're really looking at? And Mr. Hicks, one of them is, are we teaching at grade level standard, and are the tasks that are happening and students are doing in the lesson at grade level? And so all of those 20 people were sort of looking at our staff and looking at the stuff that kids were doing, talking to kids sometimes, and determining that. And so we are looking, and we were looking at college prep classes in particular, actually, because that's where teachers have said they have the most challenge in terms of feeling like, I'm bringing, and they've reported this, I'm bringing the standard down to where the students are sort of willing to participate or engage. And it's very troubling to the teachers. So we are working to, keep the standard up and scaffold up. So that's one of the things that we're particularly looking at in every observation that we do, whether it's a learning walk like we did 2 days ago, or when I go in, or Assistant Principal Grantham, Assistant Principal Young go in and observe a teacher and do a walkthrough observation write-up. We do 4 every year, minimum for everybody. We are commenting on the 4 focus areas. And so we are commenting on grade level standard. And if we don't know the grade level standard, if I'm going into a physics class or biology class, I'm a history person, I might be looking up or asking the teacher or the department head, all right, where are we this week? What's the grade level standard? What is the topic? I might get on the DESE website, which I have done before because I'm a nerd like that, and actually look up the grade level standard. So we're trying to align the focus areas that we have established and that staff know about. We're aligning those with the walkthroughs. We're aligning those with the outside walkthroughs like we did 2 days ago with the state folks. We're aligning those with every observation that an administrator or a department coordinator does. They are commenting on those 4 things, including grade level standard.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And HQIM?
HQIM.
I didn't want to let you get away with it again.
I know. And, it's still something that faculty are learning about and open to through gritted teeth, perhaps I always say to them. But we had a successful first PD a couple months ago with Ms. Ando, with the whole faculty. We're going to, on HQIM introduction, we're going to do HQIM workshop number 2 with the whole faculty probably next month, in the next couple months. So some of the departments they're exploring it, English and math in particular, science, 9th grade is exploring it. And so there's lots of generative conversations going on about it. And I think if you hit something like that first and it's a mega potential change to your teaching, you go into the valley of despair, as Ms. Ando talks about all the time. Because it's new, you don't understand it, but then as you keep going through it, you might see some of the, the sun rays from it. So we're in that process.
I have one last question. Are you trying to scooch out of here without being... Yeah, I wanted to thank you for your great questions. You guys did amazing tonight before you left.
Really good.
And then what other types of support, because we read this and we'll hopefully pass the policy, right? But what other types of support do you need in operationalizing it? Because that is your job, right? And your job, but what else do you need to make sure that this happens and happens well?
Food and refreshments to bribe the faculty, Yes.
Well, from an operational standpoint, once this is approved, we are obligated to post it on our district's website, share it with our school population in multiple languages, and then submit it to the state along with our graduation requirements. That's sort of operationally what would, the next steps after it hopefully being approved. In terms of execution, I think for us, it's about really focusing on making sure that our competency determination exams are measuring what we need them to measure to make sure that students do have mastery and can demonstrate mastery, and that we are able to align that with the courses that we offer, and so we're able to continue to offer the courses that are going to help our students kind of reach their maximum potential.
I think probably financially, if we're thinking about future finances, how this may impact us financially. I think some of that professional development work, have been, the high school is taking, as all of our schools have taken really good advantage of our longer blocks of professional development this year. But sometimes this work is required either outside of that time or some summer work, so there's probably some financial implications in terms of what we might need to prepare for our teachers who are doing this work.
Yes, can I add? I will add to that. She's talking money. Well, I know.
How much additional money do you need to make this work well?
I know.
I'll ask the direct question.
All
the money?
To be determined, but so we had a wonderful faculty meeting yesterday, a challenging one, where we were looking at North Andover High School data in the cafeteria, and everybody was in tables of 6, and we were looking at different data sets. And part of the data was looking at sort of the aggregated ratings that we had done the day before in the walkthrough. and said that's sort of our formative, our baseline, and then we're going to do a mega walkthrough again in April and see where we've moved the needle on those 4 focus areas. And teachers are perfectionists, and what came back was, but okay, you want me to do that, but I'll do it. I want a better rating, for the sake of the school, but I want to know more about what that is. I think they know what it is because they're all smart, intelligent, really good people. But there is some need that came out today in our leadership team meeting from the coordinators of we still could use also some professional development and training. Michael McDowell's rigor workshops are amazing. Project Zero, Brian Sheehy, the history coordinator, and I are looking a lot at Project Zero out of Harvard, and their Making Thinking Visible workshops are incredible. So, sorry?
That's a great
Yes.
one. Their stuff is amazing.
Yes,
And
yes.
building thinking classrooms for math, too.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Just throw that out. Thank you. We have,
Yeah.
yes.
Quick one. So it just occurred to me a minute ago, we were talking about the workload of preparing, thanks, Ally, preparing this stuff, preparing the finals, the midterms, et cetera.
Yeah.
That has to be done every year. You can't just do it once and forget it, right? I mean, it's going to have to be revised. For one thing, you don't want anybody oral history to the next class. Oh, this is
Yeah.
what the questions will be next year.
Right.
That's the obvious one. But then even without that, right, things change, curriculum changes.
True. Yeah.
So it will be continuous work, right?
It will be.
That
It
we'll
will-
have to support.
Yeah.
Just don't want to point that out. Somebody might have drawn the wrong conclusion from what you said earlier. It's not a one and done. It's going to
Right,
have to
right.
keep going.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a comment and a question. The comment is, a long time ago, I don't remember how long, Brockton High School made huge gains, and there were write-ups about what they did, and they have a lot in common with what you're saying, which I think you should take as a compliment. But it was asking a whole lot of teachers to think about how to make things better, and with, at least for a while, pretty dramatic results. The question is, you have students now who learned to read when we weren't using research-based reading curriculum. And so I wonder, I mean, everything you're talking about what do we need to teach on grade level sounds really, really great. I'm guessing that they're going to be, in sort of an educated guess, students who are perfectly capable of understanding, say, 10th grade history, but are unable to read 10th grade text. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. Usually those students have been identified prior to arriving at the high school and on an IEP, and have specific reading instruction, specialized instruction that continues for some of them in the high school, and we have reading instructors. They also might have a teaching assistant in the classroom, in the history classroom, to use your example. They had, or an academic support class where the special education liaison is assisting with reading and getting through some of the material also.
I think there are probably not as many as we would like, texts that have 10th grade history written at the 6th grade level so that the students can deal with the same ideas as everybody else,
Right.
but read it with, say, shorter sentences and fewer long words.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are aware of those things, but
I'm aware of them. I don't know to what extent we use something like that. But
But just remember, students' accommodations would all apply. So if a
Yes.
student has read two, which may be an accommodation that you would see in an MCAS test, like read the text too, and then in order to be able to answer the questions, those accommodations would still be available during this. And there's also those opportunities for a portfolio if the standard written test wouldn't work.
no, I know that's the context we're talking about, but that would also be useful just during class itself, so they can actually participate.
Yep.
Thank you. Ms. Sams, I'm going to call it as the last question.
Well, there's two. In our prior policy, it has credit for foreign study, so how is that going to translate with a final assessment?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so in our policy, what is this? IKF.
it offers credit for foreign study. So how is that credit going to transfer from a final assessment standpoint?
So like if a student is studying like abroad somewhere for a semester?
Yeah.
So similarly to if a student was transferring in from anywhere else, we would use a transcript review of that student's time in whatever courses they're studying. It might also change what courses students choose to engage in when they're studying abroad. If they're going to be a North Andover High School student, maybe they're like, oftentimes those students aren't going till their junior and senior year, and their competency determination courses are already taken care of at that point. So it might start to influence, and we might make recommendations about either when in a student's educational career they go or what they choose to take when that student is abroad. But if that happens before they get to us or before they realize that has to happen, we would review their transcript just like we would any other international student who transferred in. And then we would either determine that what's on their transcript would meet our competency determination, or that they'd have to take additional courses or take exams or whatever, or we would do a portfolio review.
Okay, thank you. And then also in the policy, we were requiring 130 credits. We're changing it to 120. It looks like that's just the difference of electives. What's the difference in it? What changed?
So we changed to 120 when we went from trimester schedules to the semester schedule. So it was just what students actually had access to in terms of how many spots on their schedule they could get every year.
Okay.
That was the only change.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not. Will you be joining us on the 18th? Or not?
If you would like me to be, but I wasn't.
Well, so I don't
whatever
want
you
you
need.
to. I'll be fine. I don't want you here.
Great. I will not be here.
However, what that would mean is like if we have any additional questions, need to make sure we get them to Michelle very soon, so she can get those to Ms. Pinkston and Ms. Holman, so that they can answer them for us, either through writing or through Ms. Ando that night, and just so we have the information we need to make a determination and vote appropriately on the 18th. So please do that soon. I imagine much past like 18, 17, 16, Monday the 15th would be make it very hard for them to get us good answers. So
Happy to do that. Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Really
us.
appreciate all the hard work you all are doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
May I ask a question, Chair Hicks?
Yeah.
So is this going to be replacing IKF completely? Is this now going to be policy IKF?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mrs. Stedman and Mrs. Weinrich. Hello, welcome. We're glad you're here too.
We're glad to be here. How's that?
So, welcome. We have our two members of our president and vice president of our North Andover CPAC. We're glad that you're here for your annual presentation to us, although we'll be seeing more of you in other capacities soon. So we'll go through your presentation, say the things you would like to share with us, and then we will go back to asking clarifying questions afterwards, mostly in the order of your presentation, if that's okay.
Yeah, or if you also want, if you want to be interactive, does that screw up your flow, Joe? Sorry.
I feel like that might, we tend to get off topic then.
Sure, we will do our thing,
and then we use
we'll
up more time than we usually want to.
No
so.
problem.
But if it's like a real quick clarifying, we can do that. But
Great. So my name is Sasha Weinrich. I serve as the president of the North Andover CPAC. For those of you at home, CPAC stands for Special Education Parent Advisory Council. We have a 6-member board. We are a lean and mean group of parents, caregivers who are really excited to do the work that we do, and we are always open to having more folks join us. So we would love for increased attendance at any of our events or our quarterly board meetings. We are really excited to be engaging with the community. One of the things that we just want to be clear about what CPAC is our membership is offered to all parents and caregivers of children with disabilities, but also other interested parties. So you do not have to have a child with a disability to join CPAC. You could be someone who really cares about your neighbor with a disability, or your sister, or your brother, or your friend, or just a caring community member that wants to be part of a group of people that's doing good work.
So I think we always start with these slides in our presentation to the school committee because I think it's really important to remember what is a CPAC and also what differentiates us from other organizations. So Massachusetts Special Education Law, Chapter 71B, Section 3 of Chapter 71B really defines what a Special Education Parent Advisory Council is. And it assigns both an advisory and a participatory function to a CPAC. So our duties by law, so outlined in Massachusetts general law, include but are not limited to advising the school committee on matters that pertain to the education and safety of students with disabilities. We are charged with meeting regularly with school officials to participate in the planning, development, and evaluation of the school committee's special education programs. We are required to establish bylaws regarding officers and operational procedures, which a few years ago we wrote our bylaws, rewrote them in North Andover based on best practices in the state of Massachusetts and other CPACs who are functioning very well throughout the Commonwealth. We are kind of in the course of our duties, we shall receive assistance from the school committee as well. So we work directly this year, especially with Lynn O'Neill, who is the executive director of special education, discussing what programming we think would be best for the district and what the financial implications are for us to be a viable organization in this community and what we need to be successful. So what is special education? I think this is also very important. We added this slide last year. I think we really need to understand what does that mean? And Lynn, feel free to chime in if there's anything you want to highlight. But really, the purpose of special education is to address the unique needs of a child that result from a child's disability and to ensure access of the child to the general education curriculum so that the child can meet the educational standards within the jurisdiction of the public agency that apply to all children. So what that means is that they may need additional support due to their disability to allow them to access general education curriculum. That can be in the form of additional support, so accommodations or modifications to the curriculum. So who do we serve? I think it's important also for our community to understand that we have 30% of our students in this district that are on IEPs or 504s. So an IEP is an individualized education plan, and a 504, we actually did a great a presentation from the Federation for Children with Special Needs last year about what 504s are, how do you access them, but that is a document, a legally binding document that would provide your student with accommodations that they may need due to their disability. I'll hand it over to Lauren to talk a little bit about what we did last year and about kind of what we're looking to do this year.
And this is the real exciting part. I think this is why myself and these lovely ladies that serve on the board do what we do and are so passionate about. This is the reach that we have, not only within the schools, but more so within our community. We talk a lot about not just being a student, right, K through 12, but being a community member throughout your lifetime. So these different events, I think one of the things that we worked really hard on this year to strengthen was our connection, education, and community across North Andover. From parent trainings to Special Olympics and family events, every initiative aimed to empower families and celebrate our students. These programs reflect our commitment to partnership, inclusion, and meaningful access for all. So a lot of them, as Sasha mentioned, were basic rights presentations, right? Helping parents understand how to navigate an IEP and what their rights are. Because if you haven't sat down at an IEP table, it's like reading a foreign language or even knowing what your 504 accommodations can be. And then other things that we did that, again, go back to our community reach were donating Bit of Grace bags to our North Andover Public Schools. So these are our sensory bags, which, again, this is not just for an IEP or 504 kid. This is for anyone at any time. And we went a step further and took it into the community, and were very graciously met with Chief Gray and the North Andover Police Department. And they also have 10 of these bags now in their patrol cars. So again, when our students are out in the community, there is that consistency and that carryover from school to the community. Another thing that we did that was really helpful, I believe, for parents, right, was bringing different presentations on neuropsych. So the presentation from Essex Pediatric Neuropsychology, going back to basics. Or maybe your child is 13, 14 years old, and you're just getting this notification, right, through these various assessments that we talk about of, hey, I think there might be something going on with my kid. How do I support them? Where do I look for the support? How do I get it? So these various things within our school districts, within our communities, are really how CPEC it hopes to be a support to our families. So these pictures, I wish they were video, because the joy that you see at these various events that we do, and again, so the AAC boards, the augmented communication boards you see there on the top left, each school is now equipped with these boards. That's high school all the way down to the ABECC. Again, this encourages communication and learning across all age groups, all different ability levels, and it really fosters relationships and communication. We really are working on collaborative efforts with inclusive programming within our schools, and that's something that you'll hear us talk about and what our strategy is on the go forward, but having events that all families feel welcomed and able to attend. When we talk about a child's ability or a young adult's ability sensory-wise to attend these events, we would like to act as a collaborative and consultative effort to help PTOs, help teachers, help anyone within the school form events that are inclusive for all. We also are a staple at the State House and other advocacy events, so you can find us going out and really advocating for various things, being at education committee meetings at the State House on transition planning. These are things that are important to all of us, and again, there's not one disability, there's not one accommodation that we focus on, it's across the board. And this next one, we're happy to say that Special Olympics, started in our district over 20 years ago through a mom and her efforts as a volunteer. That has now grown with a partnership with Andover, and this year we're excited to say that Tri-Town is going to be joining us. So we'll have 3 districts all participating together in a community effort to hold these games. We also have so much participation that we are breaking it up into 2 different games to accommodate our younger kids at the ABECC to have a Junior Olympics. So they get to work up to the big games at the high school, but it's really, if you get a chance, I welcome you to come out. In May this year, on the 15th, will be our Junior Olympics, and June 8th will be our big games at the high school we will be hosting.
I feel like that's both amazing, and I feel like you doubled your work.
It's for the kids, Joe, right? It's for the smiles.
That means
do it
we
for the
just need
smiles.
more volunteers.
That's
So
a call to action.
So we're hosting the June games. This year it's here.
It is our turn to host
Yeah.
this year.
Both of them, or just in June?
Both, yeah.
Well, yeah. So this is the looking forward part. So we are really excited about some of the things that we have been working on. I'm going to go a little bit out of order. I think I'd like to talk a bit. We're coming at a future meeting, but a lot of the board members' time has been spent working with the advisory committee for special education. We are doing some really wonderful work there, and I think a lot of our efforts and time have really been focused there since last spring. That has been very important to us. Just a little history for those that are watching at home again. I think we're really strong advocates for the special education review that was done, that we are very grateful for the district in doing. And we want to make sure that we are active participants in taking that document and really helping translate that into something that you can see throughout the district. We also have been partnering as part of that very collaboratively with central office. I think one of the things that we want to make sure we share with the school committee is that for us, we have felt like we have a more open level of communication with the administration, which has been really helpful. So when we have concerns or concerns are shared with us from parents, we can share those. And also, I do think that we are consulted on a significant more frequent basis. So we really do feel at this time that we have a seat at the table, which is really critical and something I think fought for many years. I think that's really important to share publicly. That doesn't mean that we are involved in individual conversations about students. It means when we talk about programming or we talk about where we want to go as a district, that we are consulted, and we do greatly appreciate that.
Transparency, I think, right? And being able to have feedback go both ways between Lynn and us, and that builds up conversation, right? Everyone's holding each other accountable. It's not a matter of we're doing everything perfect. It's that we know we're not doing everything perfect, but let's highlight what we're doing well and let's fix the things we're not doing well. And one of the things, again, going back to community, is an inclusive business partner program. So bringing things like the sensory bags and the communication boards, right? We're giving accessibility to all students. So when they go out to our businesses, our restaurants, are they able to access the menus? Are they able to communicate their needs of the business and participate in the business? What are simple ways also our local businesses can benefit from our special needs family and having them attend if they're not currently utilizing their local business?
So we actually, as part of our, we have our annual CPAC Awareness Week, and we have a CPAC Awareness Day in North Andover and throughout our schools, but we also typically do a fundraising event with a partner restaurant. And this year that was with Pablo's, right on Main Street in North Andover. They were an excellent partner, and they have also been really wonderful in discussing being kind of a trial for us for this inclusive business partner program. So what would that look like? What would they, as a business owner, be seeking from us? What would that look like from a financial perspective? They're prepared to support us with that. We're really excited to think through that with them and trial that program.
Being a part of the PTO president's meeting with Pam as well has been super helpful, again, for us to have kind of a pulse of what's going on at every school, right? Regardless if there's certain programs, placements, you've got how many IEP 504s. It's this way we truly are able to talk and discuss what's going on within our school district when it comes to ABECC or the high school. And that also from a perspective of volunteer and recruiting parents, we now have a way to communicate with parents whom we may not reach otherwise, right? And again, through their programming and events, we also have a way to have a reach and a place at the table to go and just have a face there to talk about CPAC, to be able to be in a newsletter, things of that nature. And everyone at the PTO president's meeting, I will say, I feel like has been extremely collaborative. I mean, we really have been met with open arms, which again is big for us because it welcomes not only our families, but all of our students as well. And it's good to see that people who are leading our families are feeling that way.
And I think one of the things that we've just realized, I mean, we knew, but realized through those meetings is that the PTOs really want support. And so one of the things that we're really looking to do is figure out a way to help them. We as 6 board members can't be at every school for every event. It's just not feasible. We are only so many people and have so many hours, but we want to be able to support them. So guide them in what they can do in certain situations, and also work with Lynn and Pam and the rest of the district to say what resources do we have in-house that we can support these events with. Who at each school is available? Is this an opportunity for high school students to support and volunteer? Are there things that we can do going forward so that frankly the burden is not on 6 individuals trying to run an organization, but we also have partners that can go and support the PTOs at these events.
And going back to the first bullet there, a parent's rights education. Again, this is an ongoing thing for us throughout the year, utilizing the Federation for Children with Special Needs and the various workshops they put on. But there's also bigger, stronger workshops and programs out there that would be a wonderful resource for our parents to have. But it takes funding, it takes money, right? And we go back to that conversation of what we are able to do as a CPAC, but this is a really important priority for us as a CPAC, is to make sure that we're bringing a resource to our families to help educate them. And in the end, it also helps, right, our teachers, it helps our ETLs, it helps anyone that's sitting down at these tables to have productive conversations.
And I think that has historically been a big push for us. So in some of our presentations in prior years, we discussed what was called a rights law presentation. Rights law is like a wonderful standard in terms of a textbook, and then they do trainings for parents that helps them understand what their basic rights are and to kind of become strong advocates for their students. We think that it is a huge lift financially, so we're not coming here with an ask for that. I think it remains the same, though, that we need to understand the feedback that CPAC is getting from parents once they leave an IEP table, that they aren't necessarily aware of what their rights are, aware of what the process is. And so also in those circles, sometimes there can be a lot of misinformation. Well, my child gets this resource, why can't I? Well, because there's a process. This is for better or worse, has a legal process. And I think everyone's trying to do what's best for children ultimately at the end of the day. And so how do we help parents understand what that looks like, how they can advocate best for their child, and also the framework and kind of how that meeting should run or how that should go.
And one of the things that we didn't put on here, but actually has great timing as far as our new launch program here in the district for that 18 to 22, is that as a CPAC, we had the opportunity working with the Department of Developmental Services to start a transition support group and workshop program at our local YMCA. So keeping it here in North Andover for our families, that myself and Chris Marchese, who is a DDS Northeast Arc split dual community resource employee, will be hosting for not only parents and caregivers, but it gives our young adults from 14 to 22 an opportunity to come to the Y and use their Y Abilities program for our inclusive sports opportunities. So I think that's also something pretty spectacular that we're piloting that. We're one of the we are the first, and I think it says something that our community here is going to get the opportunity to participate, especially for 14 to 22, which is often an age group that we really start to see struggle as you kind of get up in age with different accommodations and postgraduate planning.
That's it. Thank you.
so much. Do we have any questions, comments, things for our lovely CPAC?
Yeah. I had a question about what kind of programs are currently, specifically like in the elementary schools, to help students. I know, inclusiveness is one of the raised values, but to like understand, why certain students in their classroom are getting these accommodations and what that means and how they can appreciate that student as a member of their classroom.
Sure. So historically, there was a program called Understanding Our Differences that was unaffiliated with CPAC. That was run by parents who I think at this time no longer feel like that they can. I think their families are older. Their children are grown. They felt very strongly and loved the program. They had run that program, and I think post-COVID it was a little bit more challenging, and then their kids are grown. So we as a CPAC chose not to take that on for a multitude of reasons. It's an incredible lift in terms of timing, resources that we just don't have. Again, 6 people, we have to kind of choose what our priorities and focus are, and as a CPAC, kind of our job is really to advise the school committee. That was one piece that we just weren't able to take on. I do think that there are other programs that we would be interested in reviewing and discussing, separate and distinct from Understanding Our Differences, if we were to be engaged to think about that going forward. And then I think that question is most suited towards the district and what they're doing in-house.
And I think, too, one of the things that we're seeing more of now, and I think Lynn is always having this conversation, is about inclusion in the classroom. So again, even if you're in a self-contained or sub-separate classroom, that there is push-in for whether that could be any kind of special or recess that a child is doing. So there is awareness from a child being able to see another child, like you said, come into a classroom or a cafeteria. And that's why placement of augmentative boards, these sensory backpacks, so that hopefully we can get our gen ed and special ed teachers on board together to have these conversations, so that if Timmy comes into the classroom and says, hey, why is James over there, using a tablet? Like, is he watching a video? Like, no, that's how James communicates. Or why is Sally flapping? Well,
it becomes part, it doesn't have to necessarily be a separate and distinct program, right? It should be part of everyday life. We have students that have different abilities, and everyone is educated in terms of our teachers and staff on how to effectively communicate, what that looks like or why, and be able to help students through that just like on a daily basis. I think it becomes less of it just becomes part of every day. You don't have to necessarily, I'm not saying that program is inappropriate. I'm just saying I think we're already starting to see that inclusion in the classrooms.
If I can just add one thing. Sasha, Lauren, myself have talked about a block where it's integrated throughout the day. Often, once a cycle, perhaps at times in the middle school, once a month. And other districts have named it like a shine block. And it's a reverse inclusion type model where our students in general education, more typical peers, might go in to more of our substantially separate classrooms for a particular event. Like things that with skill building around cooperative games, around arts and crafts, around a cooking, I lost my word. Activity, thank you. And I've begun to talk to the middle school teachers, particularly the RISE teachers and our behavior specialists in the middle school, because that's really where we see the need for deliberate, scheduled opportunities between more typically developing peers and more of our severe special education population. So we are looking at options to build it into the school day.
Let's build awareness.
Just as a quick follow-up, if parents wanted a resource of how to talk to their student about CPAC and what it means, where would they look for that?
So we have like a one-page sheet that we provide all parents to explain what CPAC is. I think CPAC is also working on a website that kind of verbiage would be included. They could take their student to the website and say, hey, here's some more information with some resources.
Are you thinking if a parent was looking for a resource to help, like a book to help understand?
That's what I was just going to say, Pam. Stevens Memorial Library actually has a section that they're curating for parents and for children, and to have these conversations. And again, this is not like just one disability specific, but they have a whole section that they actually consulted with CPAC on, and we gave them a list of titles and various things that all of us through our experience had used. So that would be another avenue as well.
And I guess the way I was thinking about it is
Sure.
the kids have CPAC Awareness Day and they wear their CPAC shirts. And, as you have a first grade child and you're saying you're wearing the shirt at CPAC Awareness Day, helping them to understand the significance of that.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. Thank you.
I also did want to just bring up, so my New Year's resolution is to, no, I know, but it's coming. And I'm preparing for it because I've already tried to do it and it's been an epic fail so far, but I'm going to get it together. Pam was able to get me a s'more license, so I've tried to do it a couple times, but I haven't actually been able to do it effectively. So I have on my list of things to do here to access a principal for them to walk me through how to do it. My thought was I save all sorts of articles, I save all sorts of resources, and the idea is around, having sort of those identifying factors for people to be able to access through the links there. So New Year's resolution to come forward with all sorts of resources like that.
So two quick things. One is this is a much more pleasant and great conversation than the first one I had with you guys 3 years ago. And I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm really glad that the work has been fruitful, right? That we've made a lot of progress, which is great. And that makes me feel really good. I guess in terms of a question, I'm just curious, how often do you guys meet? You guys meet?
Often.
Yeah. Some days they're probably sick of me. I'm never sick of them.
Do you have like a regular schedule?
Yeah, so what we typically do is we do have a regular schedule for ACE, right? So the Advisory Committee for Special Education. So that's every other week typically, give or take holidays or whatever. It was less frequently in the summer. And so we'll typically check in before or after, and then if there is something specific that we need to discuss, because sometimes it can't be scheduled. Sometimes it's something comes up and it's, hey, we want to talk about this. What are your thoughts? Then Lynn will shoot us an email. She'll say, hey, can you jump on a Zoom tomorrow morning? And we'll jump on a Zoom for an hour.
Okay, great. So it's very regular, and it sounded like it.
Lots.
Yeah, which is great. That's great. And I guess the one other thing that just occurred to me is Alyssa was asking her question because parents. So what you just described is sounds like a great way to build kid awareness, right, of their peers. But parent awareness of those peers would probably be a good thing too, because I'm thinking about my own experience where that didn't come up very often, right? And it probably should have, and I do remember my kids talking a little bit about the program you mentioned, I forget what you call it.
Understanding Our Differences.
Yes, yep. I do remember hearing about that in years past, but probably it's just a suggestion that we think of something to build parent awareness of the other parents and the kids and what they're, so they can talk to their own children and say, listen, you know, like you said, the example you gave, you know, Sarah's using an iPad. Why does she get to use one, right? Like,
Right.
that's probably a hard thing for a 6-year-old to grasp,
Yeah.
right? Like, why is that fair, right? Like,
Although,
funny.
actually, I think it's easier than you think.
is it?
Yeah, because they're kids and they're malleable and they just go, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, and that becomes regular to them,
That's
which is,
it, but that's I
yes.
think the intent. Like, that's the point, right? And what we're
Right.
saying, right? It's not something that you. I'm not saying you don't have to do this, but what I'm saying is we are trying to get to a place where there is no need for a big program that talks about and shows you about this difference because it's part of your everyday life because of inclusion, right? So those students are your neighbors, they are your best friend's brother or sister, and so they're just sitting next to you using their iPad to communicate, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. So
And they just say,
maybe
okay.
yeah, it goes fast better than I might think. Okay. good.
I do want to just highlight your point. It's really hard for parents who have children in our more complex programs. Once sort of 4th grade, 5th grade, and definitely into middle school comes into play, because gone are the opportunities for parents to arrange play dates. Gone are sort of the days where the whole class gets invited to a birthday party.
Right.
Children start making their own plans. And some of our students in our more complex programs haven't gotten there yet. So the parents are often feel left behind. So it is a really important point to make that if you are, we all loved our neighborhood schools, right? Like, I was a Franklin parent, and people who are Franklin or Thompson, Atkinson, and Sargent now, you know each other as parents. It's important to remember that those parents, you know, valued your interaction, your friendship, and that once the children start making their own plans, you should reach out and make your own plans as well.
Yeah, it's a good. It's a great point for hopefully people listen to that. But yeah, it could get lost.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
We look forward to having you back very soon to talk about other things.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time tonight. Excuse me. Superintendent Lathrop,
Okay, my turn.
it's your reporting time.
It is. Here we go. Excellent. So I started with a little nod to our congratulating our North Andover Knights football seniors. You'll see that we had a slim senior team this year. I mean, we had a lovely team, but we had a slim amount of seniors. And it is hard to be a small group of seniors, and they were a tight group of kids who worked really hard. And, you know, a lot of what they did their senior year was to help build a football team for upcoming years.
They did stupendous at that.
They really did. So a lot of props to our seniors. It was great. And then moving on, we had some great North Andover town spirit. We had several of our schools, our clubs, our school committee members who participated in the North Andover Holiday Parade. So just a few snapshots here. My camera didn't take that great pictures, but it was great.
Well, I kind of like the streak of the light. I think.
In the streak, a little thing, yeah. We have a recognition tonight for Lindsay Mora and Suzanne Conley. They're a great team. They are counselors at the Atkinson School. Their roles really extend beyond just counseling. They provide critical support with student behaviors. They offer consistent guidance. They're problem solving for our teachers. They maintain thoughtful, ongoing communication with both parents through phone calls, emails, and in-person meetings. And they're really the reason behind the positive outcomes for so many students. So with parent permission, we have a student who has made great strides, and the parent and the team at Atkinson really wanted to highlight the counselors for their role in that. And I think Liliana is going to show us some of the things that she's learned through her counselors if this works. Just push on her face somewhere in there, and it should go to a video. And you can just play a little bit of it because it's a little long. Yeah, hopefully it'll go.
Exhale through your mouth, 6, 5,
Cute. Student who's been working with the counselors, and again, as I said, their family is really thrilled about the progress she's made. I wish our CPAC friends had still been here to be able to see that, but it was nice to be able to have that moment. And then we had North Andover Middle School. They had a challenge fundraiser. They raised $24K for their school so far. They had a culminating event at their Booster Bash on November 21st. The kids, the staff, they were dancing. They were doing activities. I was there. This student here with the Oreo on their eye. They had to get the Oreo from their eye to their mouth without using their hands. There was a dice stacking with chopsticks, and then there was a silly string award. That's Mr. Gonzalez that is being he's losing, and I think he took one for the team. But just how the school works together to be able to fundraise, and then the kids had some great fun together. And then our launch students are at it again, doing great work for our district. This time they took on the Knight's Closet at North Andover Middle School. So the launch students went in, they cleaned out the closet, they reorganized all of the clothes, and they restocked the Knight's Closet. And you see that they put some signage up there to be able to see what was going on. At North Andover Middle School, we've talked about this before. We have Project 351. Project 351 is something that every district in the Commonwealth has the ability to select one student to be their Project 351 ambassador. We had several students that applied this year that you'll see here. Giovanni was selected as the ambassador, and Sophie will be the alternative. They go to different conferences. They have an opportunity to do service projects together. They have spoken at school superintendent meetings last year. So Project 351 usually does some kind of hosting at the superintendent's summer conference. And last year they gave some really inspirational speeches about inclusivity and times they didn't feel included in schools, and times they did feel included, and the importance of being being seen and being heard in the school system. We have Catherine O'Hanlon. She received the Quest Bridge National College Match Scholar. It's a very competitive program. There was over 30,000 applicants. 2,627 were chosen. She's going to be attending the Middlebury College this fall at no cost for 4 years. It's an amazing accomplishment and a testament to her dedication. You'll see this one's a little bit out of the norm from my typical slides, but we tried to cram everything in. So the North Andover High School had their grand opening of their makerspace. On the left-hand side there, you'll see what it was before. It was just a closet. They did a lot of transformation. Look at the spaces now. They have you used to call that a Cricut or circuit? I don't know how you say that. Cricut, digital cutter. They have a 3D printer. They have inspirational books. There was a pillow that was made in the makerspace. That's Courtney O'Hearn. Courtney is our library media specialist. She turned the old space into the makerspace. It's a collaborative community space with tools and technology for creating and making things. She had a grand opening during lunch blocks today. The students jumped right in with the various projects. They were sewing a pillow. They were making bookmarks. They were 3D printing a dragon. They're going to be able to utilize this space during lunch breaks and directed studies, and teachers can also sign up to bring their students to this.
There's a place where you can go during the day to sew.
I know.
I want to go to high school.
Right? Wonderful. I think as our student told us already that at North Andover High School this week, the students were awarded the John and Abigail Scholarship. The John and Abigail Scholarship is a merit-based award. It's for Massachusetts students, and it provides a tuition credit for up to 8 semesters at a Massachusetts state college or university. I believe 84, somewhere around 84, 86 students receive this honor. And you'll see our own Louine and our own Allie receive this year. And then North Andover High School had a really successful day at the Mass Music Festival. There were over 1,000 students who auditioned at the festival. 5 North Andover students were accepted in. These are our students. So we had a few in the district band and some in district orchestra and district choir. I didn't get a photo of them, so I ad-libbed there on my own. And then I just wanted to show you that they had the recognition for Mary Lou Connors, who was retiring from North Andover Public Schools, most specifically the ABECC. There was a party for her, 2 Fridays ago, last Friday, I don't know when, 2 Fridays ago. And that's just the ABEC staff, present and past, who came to show up. There's tons of other people that were there, but all of the people that have worked with Mary Lou, it was a great event, and she was deeply touched when we were able to share with her the plaque that you had authorized in her name. Just a few updates since I last saw you. A lot of it has just been spending some, quite honestly, of what I would say is fun times in some of the activities in the district. I visited North Andover Middle School. I was there during their boosterthon. We celebrated CPAC Awareness Day. I went to the Thanksgiving breakfast. So Commonwealth Motors hosts a Thanksgiving breakfast every year between Andover and North Andover. So the high school, the football team seniors, the cheerleading seniors, and the band seniors from both schools come together. They have a little inspirational speech from Dan Roach, I believe is his name, and just good fun getting ready for the football game. We are Kristen Ando and I met with the survey developer from the Teaching Learning Alliance, who is helping us put together our survey for our strategic planning. So we had our initial meeting with him. We already have looked at 2 iterations of the survey and sent back some corrections or some additions that we want to see. So I'm hoping that I was hoping to get a 3rd iteration today, because we'd like to get that out by Monday. I went to those North Andover High School turkey games. The kids had a fun time. I kind of stayed up top as opposed to going down. I wasn't really into the pie eating contest, but the kids had a lot of fun. And I don't know that it was clear, but the guidance department puts on that activity, and they do a great job. I went to the football game, which was great. Our kids had a lot of grit and a lot of persistence at the game, and gave it their all. We all know that we had the holiday parade that several of us were able to attend, the North Andover tree lighting ceremony. I got to get up on the flatbread with the select board with Trombley's, and be there when they pulled the lever to light. We had a leadership meeting this week, so some of the things that we talked about this week, we always have some curriculum updates, but 2 things that are new is we are developing a new student orientation process. This comes out of the work that we're doing with the Essex County Learning Community. We have a team that has been working with them. This was a partnership that we applied to and was accepted, so we benefit from their expertise at no cost. And you might have seen some surveys if you have children in our schools, sort of asking, how do you feel? Do you feel welcome? That's where this is coming from. So the idea is that we want all students and families to have the same experience when they join any one of our schools. So we're putting together a new student orientation process that then will be implemented in all of our schools. And then the PTOs at some of our PTO meetings that Ms. Cormier and I attend, we've heard a lot about field trips and why some schools have more field trips than other schools, why some PTOs pay for field trips and why some PTOs don't, why some grades go on more than others. So we're working on field trip cohesion. Jackie Taylor, who's one of our curriculum directors, has started with the Historical Society, so we will have a common experience right now for every 2nd and 3rd grader at our district by going to the Historical Society, and Kara Larkham is working with the schools right now just to do a field trip tracker, just to see where are we going, what are we doing, and then to maybe make some determinations moving forward. Again, I went to the ceremony, and then today I participated in my 30B. So we had our small training with Lori Burzlaff, the assistant town manager, and then I've asked other members of the leadership team to participate in the larger training through the Office of the Inspector General. So I participated in my class today. Hopefully I have passed, and I can show you my certificate next time. There was a couple trick questions in there. Just a quick update on the strategic planning. So we are in the building survey phase, as I had mentioned to you. We did have to cancel our first meeting because of weather, so we just canceled it all together, and we're just going to start with our first meeting on 12/16. We have identified our focus groups and sent out that information, which I'll show to you. So we can just go to the next slide. So these are our focus groups, and so we'll have support from TLA here on December 8th and on December 15th. And we really have tried to narrow it down to focus groups. We did do an open session on the 15th if anybody wasn't able to attend and they want to try to come. Now, I did hear some feedback from some of our families, our caregivers and parents, that they felt that even though we had 2 opportunities for parents, one at 8 to 9 and the other sort of 3:15 to 4, that it wasn't enough. And so I met with the TLA consultants, and we were able to add in a virtual session that I haven't shared that publicly yet because I just got confirmation before I came here today. So on the 15th, we'll have a 7 to 8 virtual session, which is primarily for caregivers and parents and guardians, but obviously if somebody who wasn't able to attend, they can. On the survey, that's focus groups where you have an opportunity to be live with them, and they'll ask pointed questions. We'll also be sending out a survey that will go to all families, students, as many community members as we can. The town will send that out for us as well. To Mr. Moskowitz's question about to the students, what have you learned from alumni? There actually is a section on the survey. So the way it will be is when you sign in, you sort of tell who you are, and that will take you to a series of different questions. So there is one that says alumni, which will take you to a series of questions for alumni to try to get some of that information of, did you feel prepared at North Andover High School? What do you wish, or North Andover Schools, what do you wish we had, and those kinds of things. Yeah, so was there anything else at the end? Oh, nope, just a reminder, here are, so I'm human. I do look at social media like everybody else. I maintain I help to maintain the North Andover Public Schools website. There have been a fair amount of questions about, why don't we see the budget on every school committee agenda. I just want to make sure the public knows that we have committed, and that's part of our goals, about sharing monthly budget updates. These dates are here for the community to know. We did do a committee budget update on the 20th. Those are the other dates that we will be sharing with the committee. And then there's the FY27 timeline for the development of our FY27 budget. Some other questions that I have seen are things like, how do we know that the select board and the finance committee are getting the updates? I send them right after I share them, right after they're shared with the school committee. We send them, Michelle sends them out to all the members of to the town manager, to the CFO, to all the members of the select board and all members of the finance committee. One of the things that I did do today was I emailed the chair of both the select board and the FinCom committee, and I asked that they would publicly recognize that they have received those financial reports from us, so that our community knows that we are being as transparent as possible, and we are fulfilling the area of the MOA and and wanting to share that information. So we, on the right-hand side, are tentative other topics for the 4th, the 15th, and the 18th. We had planned to talk about the CIP budget on the 4th, but we don't present our budget to the town manager until the 8th, so I moved it to December 18th, so that, it'd be silly to present to you something that I don't know is true yet. And then just a reminder that the school committee has asked us to prepare a transportation presentation, that if you have we'd like to know what it is that you want to know. And so if you could please send your questions or what you're looking for in that transportation presentation to Michelle, that would really be helpful in our planning process. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Happy to take a question or not.
Mm-hmm. Great. My turn. So I'll go in order. Building off of the budget process and the dates coming up, I just want to reiterate, this is a review of the things I've sent out both in the nightly news and the last meeting recap. I want to make sure we keep saying it so people understand. So I'm going back to my notes that I have on my phone. So remember, the budget is developed in partnership with the town's Revenue and Fixed Cost Committee. The recommended budget increase will be shared at the tri-board meeting on December 15th. That is our next official meeting, Monday, December 15th. The superintendent and the school committee anticipate presenting a fiscal year 27 projection on December 18th. The goal of that is it's our first draft at hearing what our budget will potentially look like for next year. It will not be a full comprehensive presentation. It will have some really important information. We want to hear some feedback from the community as well, but also know that is 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks earlier than we normally start doing these things. So it will very, very much still be in draft form. So don't be too upset with us with what comes out at that point. And there will probably be questions we will not be able to answer because it's still in draft form.
Can I just add something?
Absolutely.
It's an opportunity also to help myself and our team here, Gail Dowd and her team, to make sure that when we present to you on January, we are presenting information that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So we could, for example, point out something that isn't there.
Correct.
Okay, that's a nice idea. Thank you.
So that next would be the superintendent and her team will present the full budget to the school committee on January 8th. That will be a full-on detailed budget presentation. We will hold a public hearing as required by law on January 15th. The difference between a public hearing, which is an opportunity for the public to share their ideas, the difference between a public hearing and a public comment is a public comment can be on anything, usually about the agenda. A public hearing can only be about, our comments can only be about the budget itself. So we actually, within the meeting, go into a hearing, and then we stay there for a while, and then we come out, but it's very focused on that topic itself.
Do we do that in the high school auditorium?
I don't know what we'll be doing this year. We'll see.
We have to think about where we
Yeah.
want the location to be. In the past, we have moved because we had anticipated a larger audience.
But also in years past, we had it here and there was no one for the public hearing. So we don't know. We will make the appropriate determination in advance as we should.
Everybody who wants to go is requested to send a note to you so that you can count.
We get a good feeling leading up to a meeting about whether or not this will be an appropriate space and if we should move it.
It is a small space.
Yes. We will then discuss the budget and vote on it on January 29th to be transmitted to the FinCom and the Select Board. And then town meeting again is on May 12th, which brings me into our second, feedback does matter. So please come. You're welcomed and encouraged to come to the meetings. We do allow for public comment at both the beginning and the end of each meeting. We'll also have a public hearing on the 15th, specifically about the budget. And then that brings me to the next part about our community chat schedule. In addition to the one we're having at the high school, thank you, Mrs. Cormier, for organizing that, we plan on having 2 of them during budget season. Ideally, we want to have one between January 8th and the 15th, and the second between January 15th and 29th. We're going to have Michelle send out a doodle poll to committee members to fill out and let us know your availability for those. We'll put some times in. But like ideally, we would have one between the big meetings that we're having in January so we can hear from the public if you're unable to attend one of the public meetings and share during comment time. So that's the first 2 things. Contract negotiations. We have started our official negotiations with the North Andover administrative assistants. We had our first meeting on Monday. It went very well. We heard some proposals and we set our dates for January and February.
Great.
And upcoming meeting topics. Can you pass those down to them? Superintendent Lathrop alluded to this, but we've started to sketch out what's going to be happening in the springtime. This is we made this available electronically for the committee members, but these are some of the things these are not the only things we will be doing this spring, but they're some of the bigger ones that we know have to happen, and we started to account for them. So after budget season in January and February, we will be looking at the school calendar. The first read on the school calendar for next year will be January 29th, and we want to approve it by February vacation so everyone can make decisions about their vacations for next year because you book those things well in advance. We've identified when our monthly budget updates are going to be. We've put on reviewing user fees for the end of March so that we can make any changes and approve those on April 9th in advance of April vacation, which is based on our commitment earlier this fall. We know we have to do certain things like school choice and our health services update and our annual appointment of the school physician towards the end of May. So these are just the things that are coming up. We will add to these as necessary, and this is in addition to the regularly scheduled business that we have throughout the year.
So I just want to say that when I went to 2 sessions at the MASC conference about, do we have to meet to midnight? And one of them talked a lot about this, so I just thank you for this. Sort of a best practice of laying out an annual schedule so everybody kind of, not just us, but the whole community.
Yeah, and space things out so we don't have one meeting where it's 12 minutes, another one where it's 48 hours.
It's more than that. It's that somebody, either a member or someone in the community is interested in something, and then you can say, well, we have this annual, we've laid out what we do. So anyway, just thank you. It's very nice.
You're welcome. Subject to change if we need to.
Of course, but it's a nice thing to do.
This is where we're going. We have some other topics down there that we will have to plug in as appropriate. So
Great.
We'll update this with you as necessary. And then I think that was all my stuff. Great. Oh, next time we are going to have the superintendent's mid-cycle review.
Yes.
On the 18th. The 18th is shaping up to be a longer meeting. It's a mid-cycle review. Superintendent Lathrop, I think, is going to share with us the things a quick overview of her goals and the things that she's already done to accomplish or move towards accomplishing meeting those goals. Can you send that out before the meeting so that if we have any particular questions, we can have you be ready to answer those in advance? We certainly need to do that work, but I also know that we have a lot of things on the 18th, so we want to make sure we are efficient with our time.
Great. I will.
So actually, that's another practice that came up about doing a lot of, just what you said. So do a lot of that kind of communication ahead of time.
Yep.
Another interesting one, by the way, is that if somebody makes a presentation, a member or the superintendent, you make it with the motion, so there's no ambiguity. You come in and you say, this is what I want to discuss. Here's the motion I'm going to propose.
What would the motion be? I move to
No,
hear
no,
a
I mean, well,
presentation?
no, but I mean, if you come in and you're going to, instead of making a presentation and then hoping that somebody on the committee makes a motion, you just decide in advance, what is it that I'm asking for? It makes a lot of sense. And then you also start doing some of the communication back and forth ahead of time. I mean, I think the two of you are already doing a little of this, but.
Great, thank you.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman? Somebody remind me what ASCE is?
Advisory
Advisory
Committee on Special Education.
The one that you put.
It's Joe, me,
it's
and
ACSC. Oh, okay, right.
Yes.
Did we do it backwards on there? We do that sometimes.
To me, ASC is the American Society of Civil Engineers.
It's a really great society.
Yes, but we do it in the opposite order, the C and the S. It's very subtle.
Mr. Brown, I believe you have not had a Kittredge Building School Committee update.
We have not, and while the superintendent was finishing up, I was scrambling to find out when the next meeting is, and I found it. It's January 8th.
Great. So we will hear from you maybe a little bit that day.
Yes.
But we were mostly waiting on the results of what they have to say back to us.
Right, which should be happening now. I mean, the presentation is happening in December, their December meeting.
Great.
Our schematic, whatever it's called, the schematic.
We postpone that till January, yes?
I think it's given at their December meeting.
Okay. and
Yeah.
then
We'll get the decision in February. I think that's the. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to new business. We have an overnight field trip request for the MAS Student Council Conference, which is, I'm guessing, in February.
It is, yes,
March.
March 4th.
Oh.
And they will return March 6th. There are 12 students. They're going to miss 3 days of school. This is our student council, so our state student council conference, which is in Hyannis, Massachusetts. They'll be staying in a hotel. Connor Meehan is the supervisor. He is our activity advisor for student council. Our students have participated this in the past. I think if Allie was still here, she would speak passionately for this activity.
I believe we've had a lot of success of our students going here and then being elected to leadership positions
Yes.
for the
For the board.
the board.
Yep.
What in addition to that, when they come back and say that it was really valuable, what sorts of things did they talk about?
So last year, after they came back, they invited me to one of their student council meetings, and they just shared some of the sessions that they went to. They talked a little bit about some of opportunities for leadership, things that they should be doing within their schools, things that they can help in the community. Some of them talked about having a larger voice at their, so actually our students were able to talk about the voice that they have at school committee meetings where others were really jealous. The students didn't feel as though they had as much voice at school committee meetings. So they bring back some of the things that they're doing, some of the networking. Allie shared a little bit last year. She ran for president, and so she shared a little bit of her speech with us. So it's just an opportunity for them to share some of their best practices with each other.
I deeply appreciate that, even though they don't know the exact prices for next year and for this, that they're not waiting and that we have the opportunity to prove this in advance. So thank you for that. We'll vote on this next time. If you have any questions about it, please reach out to Ms. Ando or you.
Yeah, either one.
Okay. Any questions right now other than Mr. Moskowicz's? Great. Moving on to old business. We have an overnight field trip request for the baseball team to go to Cooperstown to play on
Doubleday.
Doubleday. I was going to say Ebbets again. I knew I was going to mess up. I was watching League of Their Own earlier today. So I would entertain a motion.
Yes, I would like to move that we approve the overnight field trip request for the baseball team to go to Cooperstown. It is a tremendous experience, having done it myself several times. For the kids, it's fantastic, right? It's the legendary birthplace of baseball. Most historians would argue it's really not, but everybody likes to pretend it is. And it's where the Hall of Fame is located, and it's very historic. The game, the Hall of Fame game was played there for many, many years. It's a special place, and I think it really doesn't cost anything, or hardly anything. It doesn't cost the district anything, and it's affordable, and it's just a great experience for the kids. So I move that we do it.
I think that was move and discuss, but thank you,
yes,
Mr. Brown.
Sorry. You're right.
Thank you, Mrs. Cormier. Any additional commentary, comments, discussion? Great. I'm jealous that they get to go play on such a wonderful field.
I have an irreverent one. Do you have a picture of you there?
I do. I'll happy to show it to you after the meeting.
That would be lovely.
Actually, I have pictures with all three of my children who have each played in a tournament there with me on my team.
Nice.
The last one happened in October.
Wonderful.
It was really cool.
Mr. Moskowitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sams.
Yes.
We're voting now. Sorry. Mr. Brown.
Oh, definitely yes.
Mrs. Cormier.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Good luck, kids. I hope you play well. And then we also have proposed policy change to policy JJH. Mrs. Sams, can you remind us what the big change is for this one?
Yes, so they are highlighted in red. They have to do with adult chaperones attending overnight field trips. The students must have a CORI that has been approved for the current school year on file with North Andover Public Schools. And that before the field trips are taken, the coordinator is to verify that all of those chaperones have approved CORIs.
Can I ask a clarifying question? More of a mechanical question. If we approve this tonight, which I suspect we will, does that mean it will apply to all field trips from this day forward? Right?
Yes.
So we're
We're
Yes.
doing it anyway.
We're doing it anyway.
We're doing it.
Just,
I just want to make sure we're
just
clear that the
And
operation
I
side, you're ready for
formalizing
it.
it. Mhm.
Even
Okay.
in the one we just got,
We approved.
it is on there.
Yep.
Perfect. Just want to make sure we all.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Davis, for realizing this wasn't in here. This is so key and important, and we've all talked about this before, and the administration already does it, but it's so important. So thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the policy JJH as amended.
Second?
Was that Mr.
Yes.
Was that you, Mr. Moskovich?
It was.
Thank you. Any additional comment? Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. It passes 5-0. Thank you, Mrs. Sams, for doing the work on that. Public comment?
Nobody here?
Member comment?
Yeah, I have a member.
Or public member or public?
No, I wanted to emphasize, when you talked about the December 18th and presenting that preliminary budget, and just, that's one of those things when we talked about doing things differently than had been done in the past, and it being very transparent and maybe a little bit of a messy process, but that's part of transparency. So we're not going to know all the answers. We're not going to have all the questions. I mean, we'll have as many questions as we can, but I'm sure more will come to us. It's a moving process. It's a working process. So just keeping that in mind, but that's all part of the transparency process that we have really worked as a whole committee to have for the community.
It's going to be it will be messy, and will feel a little imperfect, but that's what happens when you do these things a little differently.
No, I think it's great. Can I also comment?
Yes.
Member comment. Two things. First, like you, I listen to social media occasionally. There were some things going around today and yesterday about how things are not available in advance of the meetings, but I think that's just people not able to click on a link. Am I right? I mean, it looked to me when I tried to access it through my personal browser,
Yeah.
not through a school browser.
So what happens is we will post the agenda early in the week, and as
Stuff becomes
as
available,
stuff becomes
right?
available, Michelle will link it into the agenda. So what folks have to do is sort of go back and look again or refresh. So if they
Right.
grab the first one, it may not have links. Now, some things don't have links, and I have said that I don't link the, and I've shared here, I don't link the budget presentation because I feel as though that is something that requires a conversation. I want us, and because we have working on like the iterations of what the
Right.
budget would look like, so that folks have the right information. But again, so sometimes you have to go back and refresh
Right.
and to get the links, but also, I've seen the same thing, and it's something that we're working on to link as many presentations or as many pieces of information that we can prior to it.
Right. So I guess for the public, what I wanted to say is the pro tip would be like if it's missing, look again on the day of the meeting, a couple hours, like I did today.
Yeah. And the other is we have a North Andover website, the North Andover website, and there is a school committee page there. And following the school committee meetings, we post all of the presentations that you see here. So you can always go to that page. You can see any of the presentations. We share with our administrators sort of the time stamped clips of presentations that many are putting in their newsletters out to families. There's lots of places. I don't want to negate if you're not seeing it from us, but I also want to say there's lots of places we post it. So just as Ms. Sams has said, we're really working on transparency. It's a little bit messy as we get to the right spot, but I appreciate you bringing that.
Yeah, no, because it was the comments. I'm like, what are they talking about? I can see it, and I made sure that I wasn't just looking through the school, my school account, that I was looking through my personal account, and that they were really live links. I mean, I check that all the time. So just for everybody's benefit.
I've had people, Mr. Brown, reach out for the same thing, and sometimes we do, and I make the choice to say we will post this one either right before the meeting or change the settings on it, or not till after, because some of the things we do want to, it's weird to share with the public before it's officially shared with us and
Right.
talked about.
Right.
So like that, so there is a delay on those.
That's fine.
Like, for some stuff.
Right, when that makes sense, right? But what I was reading was sort of indicating that nothing was there, which is just not true.
Yeah.
So I wanted to address that. And then second thing, I just want to reiterate my earlier comments about the CPAC when Alyssa and I were first elected. It was not a great relationship, and we kind of walked into that, and we've worked hard, all of us, all five of us, and even predecessors, to prepare that. And I just want to say I think we did it. I mean, I was really pleased to hear what they had to say today, and I want to thank Lynn publicly for all her work that has probably gone a very long way towards making that happen. And
Absolutely.
so we definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a comment, if I might. It's a comment and request for information, actually. So I'm thinking about the budget decisions coming up. This is a year where we may ask for an override, we may not, but we all understand that without an override, at some point, we're not going to be able to do all the things we want to do. And what that means in a way is that every time we decide to spend money on something, it's in a way money we're not going to spend on something else. So thinking ahead, this has to do with how do we make our schools better. And all of you know that I've been doing work on this statewide. And when, you know, there are obviously schools or districts not far from here that have much higher scores than we do. And I think there's been a tendency to say, well, yes, but they don't have anywhere near as many poor children, so that really isn't a lesson for us. And one of the things I've been able to do in this work is to check that out. And I don't want to get into detail, but at some point, if it's interesting, I can do it. But some of the differences between our scores and Andover's or Lexington's or whatever town you're interested in are definitely because of the demographic composition of the student body. But half or more of the difference is not. I think that's really important, that there's something that those districts are doing that we're not doing. That another way of saying this is, if you look at the exact same group of students demographically, you're going to find that they are doing better with those exact same students than we are. So it's more than demographics. And so that raises an interesting question. What is it? Ideally, you know, we'd look at a lot of those districts. I understand that time is scarce. Everybody that works on the administrative team works long hours. Eventually that would be helpful, but in the short term, if I can ask you, Pam, one of those districts is Andover. You know it pretty well. And I wonder if you'd be willing to share with us at a future meeting, what do they do that we're not doing? Do we need to do that? How much? I mean, they spend a lot more money than we do. So the question is kind of in two parts. Are there things they're doing that would be instructive for us? Do you think we need to do them, or do you think there are ways of succeeding without it? And how much would it cost? Because I think that's going to be really helpful when we think about, you know, whether this time or another time, how much money and whatever amount that we think we can add. It would be very helpful if you'd be willing to do that. I'd be grateful. You know, not right now, obviously.
Just quickly, a quick comment about that is, I don't disagree with you, but I also want to say that we're not Andover and we're not Lexington, and I think that what I want you to know is what you get from me is my experience in working in a community like Andover, or I did work in Andover for 14 years. So it's a lot of what I believe I bring to the table in my position as superintendent, in my former position as assistant superintendent, and in my 35 years experience as an educator, best practices. And it's what I believe I'm trying to do through the work of my leading work. So I guess I want to say to you, I feel like I'm showing you that every time that I share with you what I'm doing at a leadership meeting or a professional development that we're bringing into the district, because I'm relying on some of my past experiences and, quite frankly, some of my past successes in those roles. But I guess maybe, I don't know if it's philosophically or educationally, I'm not looking to turn North Andover into an Andover, and I don't think that's what you're suggesting by any means. But I also am not saying that they're doing something better than we are and we need to do different. I guess I'm just going to reiterate what I just said, and I feel like that what I bring to the table every day and in the work that I do is the experiences that I have, having had worked in that, and that I am sharing that with you. Maybe not explicitly, but I am drawing on some of the work that I had. And you said it, that there is quite amount of more funding in those schools. I can give you an example. You know, I was a principal of a school that was about 550 students, maybe slightly larger, which is probably comparable to Sargent School. I had 12 special educators that worked in my building, and I had 5 5 ELL educators that worked in my building, 2 full-time reading teachers, instructional coaches, guidance support, school psychology support. We had district coordinators both in the elementary and the middle school level. So a lot of that largely comes from funding. Now, some of it doesn't, and that's what I know I can't bring us to spending all that money right away, but I can bring some of the practices that I learned here, and I will continue to do that. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, you're my boss, so I'll do what you all tell me to do. But I don't know that I would recommend myself giving you a presentation on what Andover or other our communities do. But I can certainly try to be more explicit about sharing with you a practice that I believe I'm bringing to the district that I have gained through my vast experience as an educator.
So the issue isn't whether you're, I mean, you've done many things that are helpful, and I think all of us have said to you that we appreciate that you're bringing these things. So this isn't about, are you doing good work, or are you moving in the right direction? I think we all agree that the answer to both questions is yes. It's rather, we're, in some cases, way behind those schools. I mean, with demographically comparable children. Whether we want to, for some reason, this is buzzing in my ear.
Can I just, this is member comment, and he's bringing up subjects that are more for discussion among the committee, and we can't do that.
Sure. Right.
I don't, just.
No, you're absolutely right.
Wait, are you saying I'm not allowed to continue? I missed that.
I'm just saying we're not allowed to comment on it, and that's not
To
fair
comment
to
on
us.
what?
On what you're saying.
I'm not asking anybody to comment. I'm just saying,
I think what she's trying to say is that she would like to comment, and she doesn't have the ability to
Yeah.
comment on what you're saying because it's not appropriate at a member
At this time.
comment section.
Yeah.
well, I'm merely saying that for me as a member, and I expect for some of my colleagues, having information about do we need to spend more to reach a reasonable goal is really important in thinking about the budget. And that kind of information about whether or not, what we can learn from those districts, the question isn't whether you're bringing us good things, it's what are our choices as a committee and as a town?
Right, and I'm going to say,
So in
Mr.
that sense,
Moskovich,
that kind of information would be helpful, and
in
I'm
all
hoping that you
respect,
can do it at a,
I believe I'm bringing more than just good things to the table. I believe that I'm bringing 35 years of experience as an educator, as both being an educator at a local level, having had the opportunity to present nationally, have taught at the collegiate level, and is very connected through my own organization and my own education as an educator. And I feel I'm doing those things that you're asking. I don't think that I just have some nice information that I'm sharing.
but
So-
I guess I'm not saying that you aren't.
It feels that way, so.
I don't mean it that way at all. I'm just saying that you're going to give us a budget, and ultimately, we need to go to the town and say, we think we need more than usual for the following reasons.
Right.
And that kind of
Which
information.
is why we're doing a strategic plan that will help us be able to plan for our district, and I will bring you a budget that I believe will have, hopefully, bring you a budget that will allow us to move our children in the way that we want to move our children. I have said it before, and I will say it again. The only reason I took this position, the only reason I came to North Andover, I had a very good career. I came here because this is my community. I live here. It's where I started, and I know this community has excellent educators and really bright children, and that we're not performing at the level that I believe that we are capable of performing, and that has been my driving goal for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Moskowitz. Ms. Cormier?
Just kind of going back to one of the earlier themes on communication and collaboration, Chairman Hicks and I had the opportunity to attend a tri-board chairs meeting. So it was just a discussion. It was certainly heard from the other boards about the appreciation about the transparency around budgeting and reporting, that information. That was definitely a common theme, and certainly appreciation for the work that your team and you, Superintendent Lathrop, are doing on delivering that information. It was a shorter meeting, I think, because we were kind of like, there's more coming, but it was good to have everybody together and just kind of knowing the support that we're going to have going into as we start to see the budget and deliver it and have those meetings. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
Ms. Gary, there's two of us, chair of the select board and the chair and vice chair of the finance committee. I have no further comments. Tri-board meeting is our next official meeting, Monday, the 15th at the Senior Center. It starts at 7 o'clock. We will be back on Thursday, the 18th at 6:30. Public meeting starts. That will be back here. Mrs. Cormier, when is our annual town meeting?
it is, our annual town meeting is May 12th. Please make sure you have either signed up for babysitting or have your babysitter secured.
Thank you. I'll entertain a
there
motion for adjournment.
Public,
So,
There is, yeah, there's
Yeah.
public babysitting
oh,
too.
all right. I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Moskovich?
yes.
Mrs. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We're adjourned at, what is it, 8:56?
There you go.
I am 6 minutes late.